Synopsis of the Books of the Bible. Joshua. By J.N. Darby. All Scripture is given by inspiration of God, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, truly furnished unto all good works. 2 Timothy 3 verses 16 and 17. Synopsis of the Books of the Bible. By John Nelson Darby. Joshua, chapter 11. Hazor, the seat of power, totally destroyed? Israel's victories bring fresh war upon them, but the confederation of their enemies only serves to deliver them all together into their hands. If God will not have peace, it is because he will have victory. A new principle is now set before us. God will in no wise allow the world's seat of power to become that of his people, for his people depend exclusively on him. The natural consequence of taking Hazor would have been to make it the seat of government, and a center of influence in the government of God, so that this city should be that for God which it had before been for the world, for Hazor before time was the head of all those kingdoms. But it was just the contrary. Hazor is totally destroyed. God will not leave a vestige of former power, he will make all things new. The center and the source of power must be his, entirely and exclusively his, a very important lesson for his children, if they would preserve their spiritual integrity. Conquest and rest. In a certain sense the conquest of the land seemed complete, that is to say, there was no outward strength left, either to stand before them or to form a kingdom. But Israel had still many enemies in this land, enemies who did not, indeed, molest them while they continued faithful, but who taught the people many things that afterwards helped on their ruin. They had divided the conquered land, they had rest from war. When all is finished, we may reckon up our victories, but not before, till then we ought rather to be occupied in gaining more. God's dealings as to Ai and the Gibeonites. We may remark here that, in the result of God's dealings, the fault committed previously to the attack upon Ai seems blotted out, and had even contributed to the development of his purposes. At the time it had kept them back and was punished. But God applied himself to Israel's moral restoration to the confidence of faith, and the grand object of his dealings was in no wise hindered. This is no excuse, but it is a sweet and strong consolation which leads so much the more into worship. The fault committed in the matter of the Gibeonites appears to me more serious. It did not delay their progress, but, being the act of Joshua and the princes, it set them forever in a false position with respect to those whom they spared. Joshua 11 closes the first division of the book, that is to say, the history of Joshua's victories, typically that of the Lord's power by the Spirit, giving his people possession of the promises.